On the 22nd of October 2008, the Chandrayaan-1 mission was launched by India. This spacecraft reached the moon and found something that was a headline all over the world: water on the moon. For the first time, Chandrayaan-1 brought strong evidence that there is water on the moon. Specifically speaking, it is present in the South Pole area of the moon. After this news, in countries all over the world, the craze to explore the moon renewed. Missions are sent regularly by the USA and China to the moon. Israel tried to do a soft landing on the moon. Besides this, many lunar missions were planned by Japan, Europe, and Russia. But today, the world is watching India's Chandrayaan-3 mission. Which new discovery will be made by Chandrayaan-3? And why did Chandrayaan-2 mission fail? Let's find out in this video. India is on its way back to the moon. The historic mission to the moon and the launch of India's Chandrayaan-3 spacecraft. India is already shooting for the moon. Chandrayaan-3 mission aims to touch down on the moon's largely unexplored South Pole. Chandrayaan-1 was an impact mission. The part that is separated from the spacecraft and crash lands on the moon is called the Moon Impact Probe. The Moon Impact Probe of Chandrayaan-1 was equipped with an instrument called Chandra's Altitudinal Composition Explorer. In short, it was called CHASE. It was a mass spectrometer that kept taking readings every 4 seconds while it was getting close to the surface for the crash land. And with the help of this instrument, we came to know that there is water in the atmosphere of the moon. This Moon Impact Probe crashed into the Shackleton crater. This crater on the moon was chosen, and the point of impact was named Jawahar Point. Chandrayaan-1 also had an orbiter which was carrying out its orbiter mission independently. Obviously, the Moon Impact Probe cannot be launched without an orbiter. NASA's instrument was installed in this orbiter, Moon Mineralogy Mapper M3. When the Moon Impact Probe crashed and landed on the moon, some of the soil on the moon's surface flew up. This instrument analyzed the lunar soil, and after this analysis, it was confirmed that there is water in moon soil. In 1966, the first successful attempt was made by the Soviet Union, once again, in their Luna 9 mission. This was the world's first successful landing on the moon, and this spacecraft also took the first photo of the moon's surface. Usually these landers are very bulky. They are very heavy and big, so they land on the moon and stop there. They don't move around, so they use rovers. Rovers are these small robots which have wheels attached on them so that they can move out of the lander and move around on the surface. With the help of rovers, direct contact can be established on the surface of the moon. The first successful rover was sent to the moon in November 1970, once again by Soviet Union. The Chandrayaan-2 mission was planned as a rover mission. Had the mission gone as per plan, Vikram lander was set for a soft landing on the moon carrying inside a rover named Pragyan, which would have stepped out on the moon. But unfortunately, this did not happen. On the 6th of September 2019, when Chandrayaan-2's Vikram lander was preparing for a soft landing, it suddenly crashed land. According to the Failure Committee report released in November 2019, this accident was caused by a software glitch. The screens at ISRO's Mission Control Center showed that when Vikram lander was descending, it got off from its path when it was about 2 kilometers above the surface, and when it was about 335 meters above the surface, ISRO lost contact. According to the plan, till Vikram reached 400 meters above the surface, it had to lose almost all the velocity. Now, if we talk about Chandrayaan-3, it was launched to fulfill the same objective that Chandrayaan-2 could not fulfill. To minimize the risk of mistakes, a lot of modifications have been made. First, the landing area has been enlarged. While Chandrayaan-2 had to land in a patch of 500 mx 500 m, this time Chandrayaan-3 can land anywhere in a 4 km x 2.4 kilometers area. This is almost 40 times bigger than the last time. Secondly, Vikram lander in Chandrayaan-3 is carrying more fuel so that it can stay above the surface for a longer time and find the right landing site. Thirdly, there have been software upgrades so that Vikram can spin faster if needed. And fourthly, this time Vikram will not have to be dependent only on photos to land this time. The Chandrayaan-2 mission is considered to be half successful. Partially successful because the orbiter sent on Chandrayaan-2 is still working. In fact, it is orbiting the moon to this day. The high-resolution images taken by the Chandrayaan-2 orbiter have been fed to this new Vikram so that the landing locations can be decided correctly. And the design of Vikram lander in Chandrayaan-3 is more or less the same as Chandrayaan-2, but a few modifications have been done. Like the legs have been made stronger. More solar cells have been installed on it, and the sensors have been improved. Like Chandrayaan-2, the mission objective of Chandrayaan-3 is the same. Landing on the south pole of the moon and placing a rover. Now the landing site is 70 degrees south, with a large number of craters that are always in the shade. Sunlight doesn't reach there, and that is why it is believed that in those craters there could be traces of ice. Here it is important to mention that when the rover will be placed on the moon by Chandrayaan-3, it will get only 1 lunar day to conduct its scientific experiments. 1 lunar day is about 1 month on Earth. It is like 2 weeks of day and 2 weeks of night. So, when it is time to land on the moon is expected to be around 23rd and 24th of August for it to land on the moon, and from then the rover will get only 14 days to gather all the information because the instruments present in Chandrayaan-3 are not made to withstand lunar nights. When it is night on the moon, the temperature drops a lot. The temperature can drop to minus 232 degrees Celsius. No instruments will work in this cold. If it cannot land around 23rd, the 24th of August, they will wait for another month and land it in September. Coming to the instruments, Vikram lander weighs 1,750 kilograms, and the rover weighs 26 kilograms. The name of the rover is again Pragyan. In total, there are 3 modules in Chandrayaan-3, the lander module, the rover module, and the propulsion module. You know the purpose of the lander and the rover. The purpose of the propulsion module is to take Chandrayaan out of the Earth's orbit and send it towards the moon. With the help of this propulsion module, the lander and rover will first get into the moon's orbit, and when they reach the 100 kilometers radius, they will be dropped for landing. There is no orbiter module in this mission because Chandrayaan-2's orbiter is still working and it will be used again. But the propulsion module will also keep circling the moon for 6 months. It will remain in moon's orbit. It will also be used for communication purposes and for taking other readings. An instrument is placed on this propulsion module is spectropolarimetry of habitable planet Earth. Its short form is SHAPE. It will search for small exoplanets in space. Pragyan has 2 instruments, LIBS and APX. LIBS stands for Laser-Induced Breakdown Spectroscope. It will analyze the chemical composition of the moon's soil, which minerals are found in moon soil. And second, the full form of APX is Alpha Particle X-ray Spectrometer. It will do the same for the stones on the moon. When Pragyan will do these, Vikram lander will be taking its photos. Vikram lander has 4 instruments on it. The first is RAMPA. Its full form is Radioanatomy of Moon-Bound Hypersensitive Ionosphere and Atmosphere. It will try to melt some small stones on the moon through a laser beam, and it will analyze the gas released from it. The second is CHASTE. The full form is Chandra's Surface Thermophysical Experiment. It will measure the thermal properties, temperature at the south pole of the moon. The third is ILSA, the Instrument for Lunar Seismic Activity. It will measure the number of earthquakes on the moon. Those won't be called earthquakes, rather moonquakes. This will help us understand the crust and mantle structure of the moon. The fourth instrument is from NASA, the LRA, Laser Retroreflector Array. It will use laser to bounce signals from the Earth. With the help of this, scientists will be able to calculate the exact distance of where Vikram lander lands and the range of the moon, because there are already 5 other such retroreflectors on the moon. So we will be able to find the exact distances on the moon. So including the instruments on the propulsion module, there are 7 instruments in total on Chandrayaan-3. These 7 instruments can also be called 7 payloads. If this mission is successful, it will be a great victory for India, as it will become the 4th country after the Soviet Union, America, and China to do a soft landing on the moon. The Chandrayaan-1 impact mission made India the 5th country to touch the moon's surface, after the Soviet Union, America, Japan, and the European Space Agency, ISRO, Europe. Since then, 4 more countries have achieved this: China, Israel, Luxembourg, and the United Arab Emirates. These countries did this in 2009, 2019, March 2022, and December 2022, respectively. After Chandrayaan 3, the next big plan of our Indian Space Agency is Gaganyaan, to develop a spacecraft which can take Indian astronauts into the orbit. Originally, this was planned for 2022, but there have been many delays in this mission. Now, it is expected to be done in 2025. If we talk about moon missions, Russia's Luna 25 was launched a few days ago, and the latest update is that it has crashed on the moon, so this Russian mission has failed. America's Artemis 2 is also planned for November 2024, when humans will be sent to orbit the moon. Those who will go on this mission will travel the furthest distance in space, and in the coming years, China is also planning to send astronauts to the moon. Thank you very much. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more such informative videos.